Over the years, I've collected a ton of different amplifiers, and sometimes I think to myself that it might be an unhealthy amount of amplifiers, but that is completely besides the point because I find a lot of joy in checking them out. I love finding the different flavors, nuances, and one amplifier might have a different feature that the rest don't have. And among all of the different amplifiers that I have, I've also collected a good amount of Lunchbox styled amplifiers, which are smaller in scale, wattage, and price, and having the better portability might be a little bit more appealing to the modern guitarist, but also despite having a lower wattage, the tone and the power that comes out of these amplifiers is absolutely monstrous. So what I wanted to do is gather 6 of my favorite Lunchbox amplifiers and pin them all up against each other, do a side-by-side comparison, a good old-fashioned shootout, and see what the different results are. And I have a feeling the results will be pretty interesting, honestly. So let's go ahead and get into it. Our first contender today is the Orange Dark Terror. This amplifier is Orange's answer to heavy metal music and the higher gain side of things. It can either be a full 15 watts or you can bring it all the way down to 7 watts. It is fully loaded with EL84 power tubes, 12 AX7 preamp tubes, and one 12 AT7 effects loop tube. It took me a very long time to be able to say effects loop tube. Loop tube. Anyways, back on track, the lay of the land on the Orange Dark Terror is actually very straightforward and very simple. You have a volume knob, you have a shape knob, which is a one knob EQ. It is a sweep of the spectrum. You have your gain knob as well, and then on the back you have 3 different speaker outputs, 2 of them being 8 ohm and the other being a 16 ohm output, and then a full send and return effects loop. And what I recommend doing with the Orange Dark Terror is putting an EQ pedal in the effects loop of it. Because it only has one EQ knob, you will have a lot more control over the EQ section just by putting an EQ pedal in the effects loop. And also, the Orange Dark Terror tends to be a little bit fuzzier than most other amplifiers, so what I do to combat that is boost the front with an overdrive, or let's say like a tube screamer, and that will help you out a ton. Next up is the Victory Kraken VX, or 50. This is a 50 watt amplifier, and I am not gonna lie, holding it up like this is really starting to feel like it is a 50 watt amplifier. But there is a low and high power mode on this amp. It is fully equipped with 6L6 power tubes, which can be swapped out for EL34s if you would like. It also has 12 AX7 preamp tubes in it. And this amplifier has 2 different channels in it, and each of the channels have their own gain knob and master knob, which is very nice. Of course, the 3-band EQ up front is shared between the 2 channels, but a 3-band EQ, in my own opinion, is a lot better than a single EQ knob. On the back, you have 3 different speaker outputs, 2 of them being 8 ohm and the other being 16 ohm. There is a full serial send and return effects loop, a bass focus knob, which is actually a lot of fun to mess around with, and a single-ended mode, which allows you to switch between the different valves to get even valve wear on it. Or you can just completely turn it off, which is usually what I do. And also, you can hook in your foot switch back here. Man, am I happy to see an amplifier that does not weigh very much. Whoever thought I should hold up amplifiers for this video should be shot. Anyways, this is the Rev G20. This is our next contestant. I absolutely love this amplifier. Rev just has such a nice, colorful mid-range in their tones, and all of the tones that I get out of this amplifier are killer. It is just so good. Anyways, the Rev G20 is a 20 watt amplifier that can be moved down to 4 watts if you would like, using the switch on the front. It is fully loaded with 6V6 power tubes and has 12 AX7 preamp tubes. And this amplifier has 2 different channels with 3 different aggression modes on each channel. And you can think of those aggression modes as kind of like boosting your amplifier. So it's going to add a little bit of aggression on top of the tone that you already have. You have a gain knob, you have a 3-band EQ, you have a volume knob. There is a wide switch, which whenever I use it, it really doesn't do much for me. I don't really hear anything, so typically I leave the wide switch off. You can store your presets on here, you can hook in your headphone right in the front here, and something that is really cool with this amplifier, since I'm such an advocate for silent recording, this comes preloaded with 6 different cab IRs, and you can use the XLR out on the back to go to your audio interface and do silent recording. You really do not need a speaker when you have this amplifier. And if you don't like the preloaded IRs that are on this amplifier, feel free to use the USB on the back to upload your own third-party IRs. Also on the back, you have a full send and return effects loop. It is MIDI capable on this amplifier. There is a foot switch area where you can hook in a foot switch, and there is a speaker out where you can switch it from 8 ohms to 4 ohms. The next contender is a total blast from the past for me. So my first amplifier ever was a Peavey 6505 Plus. I still have that amplifier. I still love that amplifier. It's just some overall great American high gain tones. And Peavey decided to make a Lunchbox version of this amplifier. So this is the Peavey 6505 MH. MH for mini head. It's very adorable, isn't it? It is a 20 watt amplifier that can be turned down to 5 watts and then turned down to a whopping 1 watt. It is fully loaded with EL84 power tubes and has 12 AX7 preamp tubes. I know, the preamp tubes was a total shock. It's not like every amplifier on this list has 12 AX7 preamp tubes in it. But anyways, this is going to have just about everything that you know and love of the 6505 series. There's going to be 2 different channels, a rhythm and a lead channel. The rhythm channel tends to be more of a clean and crunchy channel, while the lead tends to be your screaming high gain tones. And each channel has a pre-gain and a post-gain, and you can think of the pre-gain as like your preamp, so that's going to be adding your distortion, and then the post-gain is going to be more like your overall volume. And each channel is going to be sharing a 3-band EQ. And something that is on the mini head 6505 that I don't remember being on the actual 6505, and I'm not sure if it's on the newer ones, but there is a reverb knob. So there is a reverb on this amplifier. It is not my favorite reverb, but it is there if you really want it. And of course, in classic Peavey 6505 fashion, there is a resonance knob and a presence knob. And then on the back, you have a speaker out that you can switch from 8 ohms to 16 ohms. You have a spot for your foot switch. There is a full send and return effects loop. And probably my favorite part is there is an XLR out on the back that you can do silent recording with. And it already has a built-in cab simulator in there, but if you don't like it, you can actually turn it off and use your own third-party IRs. This next contender is definitely the bulkiest of the amplifiers that I have on today's video. It's still not the heaviest though. The Kraken definitely takes the cake for the heaviest so far, but this is the Mesa Boogie Badlander 25. This is a 25 watt amplifier, and this is an awesome amplifier. This is really cool. This is if Mesa Boogie took its dual rectifier and made it a little bit more modern to have more of a faster reacting low end and some other stuff that we'll obviously get into here. But this is a full 25 watt amplifier that can go down to 10 watts if you want. It is fully loaded with EL84 power tubes. And what are the preamp tubes, guys? You got it, 12AX7 preamp tubes. You guys are getting really good at this. And this will have just about everything that you know and love in the full-size Mesa Boogie Badlander. It's going to have 2 different channels, and each channel is going to have the option to do the crunch mode or the crush mode. So it's not you have a heavy channel and a clean channel. It's you have 2 channels of whatever you want to do. You can do 2 heavy channels, you can do 2 clean channels. I think that's really, really cool. And each individual channel will have its own dedicated 3-band EQ, master, presence, gain, all that stuff. That is awesome. And then on the front here, you also have the spot to hook in your foot switch. And then on the back, you have a full send and return effects loop. You have 3 different speaker outs, 2 of them being 4 ohm and the other being 8 ohm, a spot for your headphones, and like many of the other amplifiers on this list, one of my favorite parts is you can do silent recording with this. There's an XLR out on the back, and this amplifier comes preloaded with 8 different IRs already on it. And obviously, if you don't like any of the IRs, you can use the USB on the back just to kind of switch them out with your own third party. But each of the channels on this amplifier, you can have one IR for channel 1 and a different IR for channel 2. You have a little selector back here to have separate IRs on each channel. And I think that customization is really, really cool. The next and final piece of equipment on today's amp shootout is actually a very special one for me. This is one of the very few pieces of equipment that started out this channel. I went ahead and bought this amplifier and decided I want to make a review on it, and here we are. This is the Engl Fireball 25. This is a 25 watt amplifier that is contending with the Kraken for the heaviest amplifier in today's shootout. So it's 25 watts with a power soak feature that you can go from full power to mid power to low power and to no speaker. You can turn off the speaker section so you can get fully pushed amp tones in a bedroom setting while not annoying the neighbor. It is fully equipped with 6L6 power tubes and 12AX7 preamp tubes, though I did read somewhere that there might be ECC83 preamp tubes in here with one 12AX7 preamp tube, but I did not open up the amplifier to find out for myself. Just know that there is at least one 12AX7 preamp tube in here. But this is a 2-channel amplifier. You have a clean channel and a lead channel, the lead channel being your screaming high gains, and each channel will have their own gain control, but will share a 3-band EQ, a master, and a presence. And then the lead channel does have its own volume knob, which you can use in conjunction with the master control. There is a mid boost on the front of here, so if you're feeling that your tone is just not very thick, it's not very full sounding, hit that mid boost and it'll definitely fix it for you. It adds a ton of mid frequencies. On the back, you have 2 different speaker outs, one 8 ohm, one 16 ohm. You will have a full send and return effects loop, a spot for your foot switch, and also something that is really unique to this amplifier is a noise gate. it has a built-in noise gate. And you guys know me and my noise gates. And even though this may not be the strongest noise gate, the tightest noise gate, I can use it and it'll do something, and then I'll put my own noise gate over the top of it and it'll make this amplifier just that much tighter. Now that we've gotten to meet all the different contenders in today's amp shootout, I say let's play all of these amplifiers through an in-demo mix. So you're going to have your drums, you're going to have your bass, you're going to have everything in there, but I want to periodically change in between the different amplifiers to truly show you guys the differences in the tone on each of them. Let's go ahead and get into it. I think today's shootout has been absolutely amazing. This was really cool. You can really see the differences in the different amplifiers and see the different flavors and nuances and stuff like that. As far as which amplifier is my favorite in the whole mix and all that, I'm not sure if I can completely choose because I'm someone who likes a lot of different flavors. If I have an amplifier for the job, perfect, it's right there. You know, I don't really have necessarily an absolute favorite, but I want to hear what you guys think. What is your favorite in the in-demo mix? Please let me know down below. I'm really interested to actually find that out because there's a lot of awesome amplifiers here. But anyways, if you are enjoying my videos in any way, shape, or form, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton here on the channel. And with that being said, my name is Chris with High Impact Audio, and I will see you guys next time.